Hey, what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to the LAFC career, where today we're going to be getting into season number 3 with the MLS draft episode. I don't know if we're going to be moving on beyond that into the January transfer window, but we definitely will be taking care of some roster moves here in what is now the preseason of season number 3. Now, before we get into any of that, let's take a look at some of the comments from last episode. My new favorite stadium, Bank of California Stadium. Starting like that, huh? Okay. I can already tell how today's comments are going to go. Fantastic. Takes a tour to LA, and here we have the Bank of California Stadium, home to LAFC. All right. No, actually, that one was pretty creative. I'll give you that one. That one was pretty funny. Not bad. Holman might be the Ibra regen, and actually, that's actually a good shout, and I did check, and indeed, Holman is the Ibra regen. He's playing at New York Red Bulls, in case you forgot from last episode. And before you guys start saying, oh, get the Ibra regen, no, we're not getting the Ibra regen. I hope he stays at New York Red Bulls for quite some time and flourishes there. We have Christian Ramirez at our team. We have Gerard Peña-Herrero. Those are our strikers. And I don't want to get anyone else on top of that. So no Ibra regen at LAFC. Don't buy replacements for K and Ramirez just because they aren't high rated, because they do great for your team. And you're absolutely right about that. And I have no plans on replacing either one of them right now. And I don't think I'm ever going to replace Mark-Anthony K. He's probably my favorite midfielder between him and Horta. Horta's probably the more technically gifted player. You probably see more highlights of him in each episode because he's more of the goal scorer than K. But what you don't see is all the little things that K does for this team. Defensively, he is fantastic. He fills passing lanes. He's a ball hawk. He's always around the ball. I really like Mark-Anthony K, and he is absolutely not going anywhere. And as for Ramirez, I do like him. Golden Boot winner this season. And if and when we do decide to move on from him, it's probably going to be Gerard Peña-Herrero that steps up in that spot. So I don't plan on buying a striker either. So for right now, neither one of them are going anywhere. But speaking of players that are probably going to be leaving and getting replaced, everyone you see down here in the reserves, with the exception of Roberts, will be leaving the team most likely in the upcoming transfer window, which leaves just the players right here on the substitutes bench and the starting 11 as players in the team for next season. So depth is a little bit shaky right now. We're going to have to do a good job with drafting some players, as well as bringing a couple players in the transfer window as well, just to fill out the roster a little bit. However, we have another problem with the draft that's coming up. If you remember, we don't even have a first round pick in the upcoming draft. We traded that to Orlando for the rights to sign Brett Evans. So if we want that first round pick back, we're going to have to make a deal with another team to give us our first round pick. So there's some work to be done here before the MLS draft. And I've gone ahead and made a couple of deals here before the MLS draft to bring us back a couple more draft picks. The first one we've made with Dallas, and it's for our defender, Briseño, who was unhappy. So I've gone ahead and shipped him off to Frisco. We bring back in return Ja'Cory Hayes, as you can see here. A decent young midfielder, not crazy good, but it'll be good depth for us on this team. But more importantly, the draft pick, it's not a first round pick. Briseño's good. He's a starting quality player, but he's not that good. So we get a second round pick back in addition to Ja'Cory Hayes. So not a bad deal for us. But the big one is for Hulk. We've sent him to Columbus. We bring back that first round draft pick that we lost in the deal with Orlando in mid-season. But we also bring back a pretty important player for us. He's not a great player, but the role he's going to play might be pretty important. And it's none other than King Edward himself, Edward Opoku. You may remember him from my Columbus series. He actually played striker for me in that one. Probably going to be more of a winger here. We're losing kind of our super sub if we move Blessing to the starting role. So I thought it might be important to have some speed coming off the bench in late game situations. Edward Opoku definitely has that. So we get a first round pick plus Edward Opoku, and we send Hulk off to Columbus. So now we can get into the MLS draft. And our areas of need going into this thing, first and foremost, it's defending. We have to get defenders in this draft. We'll probably select 2, maybe 3 defenders, depending on what we have to choose from here. Basically, we have no backup left back, no backup right back, and very, very limited options in the center back position as well. So we absolutely got to get some defenders into this team. We could also probably use another center mid, probably another winger as well. Basically, the only thing we don't need is strikers. I'm good with Ramirez and Peña Herrero. Don't really need a striker at this point, and probably could pass on goalkeeper as well. We're pretty stacked in that position for now. So now we are officially underway here in the MLS draft. This is round 1. We have 1 pick in this round, and we're looking for players with a maximum potential of 86 or higher, because those are the players that I can't select in any other round. So we have 3 options here in round 1. We have George Wolf, winger out of the United States. Looks pretty decent. Physicals look pretty good. We can train the sprint speed a little bit to get him a little bit quicker, and the technicals are definitely growing quite nicely. He's also the highest rated player available in this draft currently at 54 overall. Looks pretty decent. Ethan Gordson, center back out of the United States, 6'2", 75 to 94 potential, looks really good. He's also 52 overall at just 15 years old, so definitely some room to grow there. Physicals look amazing. 75 sprint speed at 6'2" is great. Also great jumping and strength. Looks like a pretty decent, talented player there. Technicals, not great, but again, he's young. We can train him. And the last player here would be Ishmael Vera. Looks like a crazy good player. 82 to 94 potential. Probably the most sure thing that we could have here in the draft. 5'7" though as a center mid. It's a little bit small for my liking, but we might be able to make that work. Physicals are okay for a player that size, but his technicals is really where he shines. It looks good. I mean, he looks like a future superstar. One of those generational talents coming out of Paraguay. And with our first round pick, we're going to take George Wolf, the winger from the United States. It's a little bit surprising, I know. I really wanted to take Ethan Gordson with the first round pick. Like I said, we needed defenders, but I think that Wolf's a little bit better than Gordson. Plus, Gordson needs a lot of training on his technical abilities to make him a viable option in the back for us. I think Wolf's just a little bit more developed in his technical abilities. Vera's probably the best player in the draft, but I don't see a spot for him in our team. I want to go get a designated player to play in the midfield next to Mark Anthony Kaye, which means when Vera develops, he'd be taking Mark Anthony Kaye's spot, and I already said I don't want to replace him. So George Wolf is going to be our guy in the first round. So moving on to the second round now, and I can pick anyone here with 85 maximum potential or less. And we do have 2 picks in this round thanks to that deal that I did with Dallas sending Briseño down there. So we have an extra second round pick, and the best player available in this round is going to be Lamine Benzai, a winger. I know, I just took a winger in the first round, but he's a winger out of Algeria. He actually does have the best overall in the draft. I thought it was Wolf, the player that we took in the first round, but it's actually Benzai, 59 overall. Really good potential. He's probably going to be somewhere around that 80 mark. Physicals look okay. Technicals also just kind of looking okay. But I think since we have 2 picks here and the second round caliber picks aren't that great anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take Lamine Benzai with our first pick in the second round. And with our second pick in the second round, we're going to go ahead and take a defender, finally. It's going to be Adam Clark. He's 6'2". I don't like the gigantic right backs, but that's what we have to work with here in FIFA. He actually has okay physicals, so I'm not too upset about it. 72 sprint speed is okay, and his technical abilities are atrocious. But he is a defender, so we're going to go ahead and take him. And now we move into the third and fourth round picks. It doesn't matter which player I take in the third, which player I take in the fourth. Everyone left on the board is available to us, except for Ethan Gordson, of course. So I think with the third round pick, we're going to go ahead and take a center back here. Abdelkader Kouriche, another Algerian, actually. And his physicals actually don't look any worse, really, than Ethan Gordson. His sprint speed isn't quite as good, but good jumping, good strength as a center back, 6'2". And his technical ability is actually looking a little bit better than Gordson. I know his potential isn't as good. He's definitely not going to be the player that Gordson is going to be, but it's not a bad consolation pick for a defender. And with the fourth round pick, honestly, there's not a lot of options here. We have Peter Sullivan, a winger. I've already taken 2 wingers in this draft. I don't need another one, so we're not taking him. Andrew Cameron, he's just bad. He's not good. I don't want him. Abu Belghazi, probably not going to be anything special either. And probably the best player available is Ramiro Cordoba, a goalkeeper. Do I need a goalkeeper? Not really, but he's better than the third string keeper that we have now. He's not named Joe Bendick, which is also a plus. so I'll probably go ahead and take him. So we've hit the January transfer window now, and so we can look at what areas we still need to address with the players that we picked up in the draft and the players that we brought in via the trades that we made before the draft. So as we move down here to the reserves, we have our draft picks, Wolf and Benzai, in the winger positions. They don't look too bad. Benzai actually might end up being a better player than Wolf. We'll have to wait and see what happens, though. Clark probably not going to be anything. I might send him out on loan this season, but I don't think he's actually going to turn into anything decent. Kariche, I actually do still have a slightly hopeful that he does become something. He has a solid player trait. If he hits somewhere in the 70 range in his overall, he could be a good player for us. Cordoba, the backup goalkeeper. And I do have Ishmael Vera here, and the reason I did that is I'm going to try to trade him or sell him to an MLS team here in January. If we don't have an offer in for him, I'll just release him and he can be a free agent. And then we have the players down here that we brought in before the draft. We have Ja'Cory Hayes from Dallas, actually 67 rated. He might find a spot on the bench this season. That could be a decent pickup for us. Edward Opoku, just the speedster off the bench if we need him. And then I brought in one player via pre-contract, Chris Reeves, a defender. So we're actually, with Reeves and Kariche, we still have Edgar, we have Robinson, as well as our starting center backs. I think we're okay at center back going into the season. Our depth, the players aren't great, but we do have depth in those in that position. And then with Betashore staying this season, right back is looking okay, but we definitely have to find a backup left back for Moutinho. He played way too many minutes last season. I'd like to give him a little bit more rest throughout the year if I can. So definitely going to be looking at left back. And then, assuming that Horta leaves, and there is no guarantee, by the way, that Horta and Rossi will be leaving. We have to get offers in for them. If we don't get offers in, they're staying, and we're just going to make another run at the title this season. But assuming that Horta is leaving, and it's almost guaranteed that he will be, I do want to go for another designated player here in that spot next to Mark Anthony K. So once we sell Horta, again, if we sell Horta, that's probably something else that we're going to be looking at. Designated player midfielder. And with that, that's going to do it for the MLS draft episode. Let me know if you guys can think of anything else that we should be addressing here in January. But for the most part, I think we've got a pretty solid plan going forward. And I'm hopeful that we can defend this title this season. It's definitely not going to be the same team that we had last year, but it should still be very, very competitive in the MLS. So we have a shot. We do have a shot at repeating as champions. But that is going to do it for this one. If you did enjoy it and looking forward to the start of Season 3, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you when we come back where we get into the transfer window and try to improve this team some more. See ya.